I would like to thank TEDxRoermond very much for this opportunity to stand here, speak here. It was a little short notice, so excuse my use of cards, please. I came up with the term complemental solutions, actually preparing for a speech here, because I was asked, so can you please get to the core of what you want to talk about? And thinking about how it started for me, everything, why I started seeking for solutions so passionately, and you heard, it was actually about my son, my oldest son, Jermo, when he was 6 months old, got a vaccination. And right after, he started showing signs of paralysis on the left side of his body, and his liver was not functioning normally. He got jaundiced, yellow skin. At first I thought, oh my God, he's getting sick. And I was lucky enough to only 1 month after do a course and learn that he didn't get sick. He responded very efficiently to something his body did not want, could not handle. It's like when you get bitten by a venomous snake. You want to try to suck out the venom, but if you can't reach, other thing we are being taught is to bind the limb, the one that's bitten. Well, of course, he couldn't do that. We didn't know we had to do this for the vaccination. So his body did this for him. He did this by himself. By actually shutting down the left side of his body, it prevented the venom via the lymphatic system reaching the heart. His liver got in overdrive, actually, to prevent the venom from getting into the rest of the system and reaching the heart, and possibly cause more damage. So he then turned sick. I call it he went into healing hyperdrive. Now what if we start looking at all body symptoms the same way? Just think of it. We'd never be considered sick again. It's all about learning that the symptoms teach us actually how to really efficiently get healthy again. They are actually components, they are actually complements to the effectiveness of our body's individual healing system. I'd like to clarify individual. As most of you noticed, I don't call it complemental solutions or medicine, but complemental. It's about the I. And the I, to me, is about the individual. Now, we think of individual as a person, but we break it down. If we go smaller, we go to an individual system, an organ, a cell, all the way down to a Higgs particle. Each individual piece adds to the rest. If we think bigger, we think in an individual relationship. We think of a tribe, individual tribe, a country, a continent, a planet, all the way up to a multiverse. So when treating the individual, this is what we need to consider. Life is being defined as the whole being larger than the sum of its parts. To grasp the bigger picture, to try to understand life, we need to understand the effect of the smallest effect has on the biggest picture, on the whole. Because the bigger picture is all about taking care of what some would consider the small stuff. I ask you to bear with me a little while, because I'm going to start skipping a bit all over the place. I'll be tempted to do is to convey a concept which covers our past and possibly our future, describing how it affects our present, and it's multidimensional. We start by going back to the future, and then hopefully understand why the future is now. This gift we've been giving is the present in the present is our past, our present, and our future. And this is why I love to do what I do. There's a far greater purpose to everything than you think at first glance. A little bit more of a practical piece to this is the way we look at flu. And if you look up flu, they talk about the symptoms of flu: fever, chills, sore throat, runny nose, muscle aches, headaches, fatigue, loss of appetite, and with kids, even vomiting and diarrhea. But what if these are not symptoms? The flu is a virus. And the way to get rid of a virus, the body's way to heal a virus, is a fever, heating of the body system. The only way you can do that is by getting the chills, movement. So this actually causes a fever, which is great because it kills the virus. We have to get rid of the toxins. We get a sore throat, runny nose, muscle aches, headaches. And of course, there's a lot of energy involved in creating these chills. So we get tired. A loss of appetite is actually great because the chills we do with our limbs. And in order to get all the energy to the limbs, you don't want to have it in our digestive system. Because if you eat proteins, the blood goes to the digestive system, and chills become a lot harder to do. Vomiting and diarrhea adds to getting rid of toxins any way you can. So these are actually not symptoms of something going wrong. This is how the body does right. If we're talking about health, we are faced with different levels and forms of particles getting out of balance. It all starts with a disease. But think of it, the word disease is a dis-ease. It's being out of balance. Nothing more, nothing less. Another practical piece when I look at symptoms, when I see somebody walking with a foot turned in like this, I'm getting all of these illnesses people describe. People walking with 2 feet like this, it gets clearer. Somebody started walking like this, it's even more clear. But what if a kid stands like this? It's a full bladder. Nothing going wrong, it's going right. So all of these symptoms actually are pointing to some piece of the body trying to tell us, giving us a signal, this is what we need to pay attention to, and this is what we need to heal. We have to understand, to get to a level of dysfunction, sickness, or illness, though, we must have ignored an abundance of symptoms, of signs, of signals. We call these signals symptoms, and then identify groups of them as a specific disease. We tend to turn this disease into someone's identity, and then we treat them as such. Next thing we do is we get into saving this individual by trying to reduce the number of symptoms. Suppress them to the level which they will no longer hinder us. And this is when helping doesn't serve the individual anymore. It only harms. We should not fight a chill or a fever or give any kind of medication to bring all these symptoms down. This is not a disease. The way we act is that this is a reaction to a dis-ease. It's actually a list of the cure. Also, syndromes, a larger number of symptoms are misleading. We tend to make presumptions, think that we know what's going on. For example, what I call the moo effect. In Dutch, het boe effect. I'm going to describe an animal. It's grazing in the meadows, has 4 legs, hooves, different colors, brown, black, spotted, striped. The male have horns. They have udders. And these animals have multiple stomachs. Now, I said misleading, because I'm not talking about a cow here. I'm talking about a goat. Same description. Yeah? Different animal, though. So getting sick, to me, is actually about knowing what to do right, but choosing to do it wrong. That's kind of sick. Like the way we produce food. We produce it, we don't grow it. Mass production of food costs next to nothing. Also, they contain next to nothing as far as nutritional value. So basically, we get sick for next to nothing. And then we wonder, to fix this, we spend a growing amount of money on healthcare. Food greatly affects the whole health, our health, but not because of the lack of nutrition only. Nowadays also, it damages us directly. And I'm going to kind of describe this way. This is the body. It's a little simplified. I've drawn the digestive tract with the lungs. So this is the entrance. This is the exit. I've drawn the female reproductive system, a bladder, a ureter, up to the kidneys. This is our ear canal. And this is the eustachian tube going up to the middle ear. Everything that's outside we call external, and everything inside is internal. We have to understand that everything in these parts is also external. Everything in our intestines is on the outside of the body. To get to the inside of the body, it will have to pass a barrier, intestinal lining. If you inhale, oxygen can be in the lungs, but if it doesn't pass through the wall of the lungs, it doesn't get into the body. To get from outside of the body to inside of the body, you need to pass a barrier. The kidney produces urine. It is collected in the bladder and discarded at a more appropriate time. And an egg, fertilized or not, will jump out and nestle, if it's fertilized, on the outside of the uterus. Because if it is on the inside of the body, it's out of the uterus, that's no good. So this is also external. This is important because basically we have this whole system, which is one system which creates a barrier to everything that's inside and outside. This system is run by our intestines. It's the biggest system we have. And food, chemicals, disruptive agents damage this, which means everything that we have to create, build, sustain, to protect it from the outside is compromised. That's a big deal. Another misunderstanding of the way the body system works, I like to draw out, is the pH system. another diagram of the body system. I don't know if you know about pH level. It's about how acidic or base or neutral a specific area is. 1, the lower number being very acidic, 14 being the highest, being the least acidic. We have valves in the system. Going from one organ to another is divided by a valve. These valves are pH driven, which means if there's a big difference between pH level on one side or the other side, it will close up. If it's cold outside, you do not open the window if you want to keep it warm inside. So the bigger the difference, the more you tighten it up. So what you do, in the mouth, pH level is about 7. Here it's about 5 or 6. In the stomach, here, it's about 1. We need this to be very acidic, to be able to digest nutrients, proteins. Going more into the intestinal system, pH level rises, which means less acidic. And here, it's a little more than neutral. It's more base. Goes back to being neutral again, because you don't want to have it burning or some otherwise coming out. Now, this is very important, because when we say we have heartburn, or reflux, or those kind of things, what we do is take medication to neutralize the acidic level, which is crazy. It's nuts. This part of the stomach is called the fundus, the bottom. And this is a bottom-up solution, or a bottom-up disaster, if we neutralize this area. Because if here we neutralize it, it means it messes up the whole 9 yards. So we need to start thinking about solutions. I'm missing a clock. All right. I guess I have to wrap it up a little bit faster than I thought. But that's okay. I was thinking about Andre's talk in the beginning of the speech, and he talked about if we live for 200 years, we need to invest. Invest. I agree with him. But as an individual, a single person, 200 years is a far stretch. But as a single species, that becomes very interesting. Because we've been around for about 200,000 years or so, and we kind of like to continue to do so. So investing has actually always been part of the daily routine. For example, exercise, which meant running after your food to catch it. Eating food that has actually been grown, not produced. Spiritual customs, we call those traditions. And we simply have to invest in all these solutions with all of our soul. I'd like to thank TEDxRoermond for inviting me here, because I think getting back to the future of being healthy again is an idea worth spreading. I'd like to thank you very much.